Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Look, the Toronto Blue Jays front office is staring down one of those decisions that keeps general managers up at night. And I'm not talking about the big headline grabbers like Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette. This is about the guys who've become part of the fabric of this team, the ones fans have watched grind their way up through the system. Ross Atkins knows what's coming, and it's not going to be easy. Here's the situation nobody wants to talk about, but everyone needs to understand. The Blue Jays have an outfield logjam that's about to reach a breaking point. Ken Rosenthal dropped a report a few weeks back that should have set off alarm bells for anyone paying attention. He mentioned the Jays are actively considering trading one of their lesser outfielders to address their bullpen needs. The names, Nate Luars, Miles Straw, and Joey Loperfido. But there's another name that's been quietly floating around in more recent reports, and that's Davis Schneider. Think about this for a second. Whether the Jays land Kyle Tucker or not, they're sitting on 6 outfielders fighting for playing time. You've got George Springer and Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who are obviously untouchable. Then you've got Luars, Straw, Schneider, and Loperfido, all with team control, all theoretically tradable, and all competing for spots that simply don't exist in the numbers they need. Nate Luars just had the best season of his career. For years, this guy was the textbook definition of a quadruple A player, stuck in organizational limbo like Spencer Horwitz was before him. Then 2024 happened, and Luars finally got his chance. He seized it. He was clutch in their playoff push. Fans fell in love with his story because it's the kind of baseball narrative you want to root for. The underdog who finally breaks through. But here's the brutal reality of roster construction. If Kyle Tucker signs with Toronto, Luars becomes expendable almost immediately. Left field is Tucker's spot, and suddenly you've got a guy who just proved he can play at the major league level with nowhere to go. That's not just unfortunate, it's a waste of organizational assets if you don't capitalize on his value. Now let's talk about Davis Schneider, because this is where it gets really interesting. Schneider burst onto the scene in 2023 with that ridiculous Babe Ruth comparison run. Then 2024 was rough. A real struggle to find his footing, but look at how he finished. An 800 OPS across 227 plate appearances, the best walk rate percentile in all of baseball. This guy learned to play left field on the fly after coming up as an infielder, and he grinded his way back to relevance. The question is, where does he fit if Bo Bichette returns? The projections have Schneider splitting time between left field and second base, but that's optimistic at best. If Bichette is back at short, if the Jays bring in another infielder, if Tucker or any other outfielder is added, Schneider's playing time evaporates. And Joey Loperfido, forget about it. He's not young anymore, and he's going to want to be somewhere he can actually play. Here's what every front office executive will tell you: trade from a position of strength. The Blue Jays are loaded in the outfield, even if none of these guys are superstars. Luars, Schneider, and Loperfido all have team control. They all have value to other organizations. They all represent potential trade chips that could address Toronto's very real bullpen needs. And let's be honest, the bullpen is still a concern. Tyler Rogers was a nice pickup, sure, but is that really the big splash this team needed? If the Jays have been holding off on making another significant bullpen move, it might be because they know one of these outfielders is going to fetch them exactly what they need. Why spend money or prospects when you can leverage surplus position players? The emotional side of this is what makes it heartbreaking. Nobody wants to see Nate Luars traded after he finally got his moment. Nobody wants to see Davis Schneider shipped out after he clawed his way back from a brutal 2024 start. These are guys fans have invested in, guys who represent the grind and determination that Toronto fans appreciate. But asset management doesn't care about feelings. Keeping all 3 of Luars, Schneider, and Loperfido when they have no clear path to consistent playing time is organizational malpractice. You can't let valuable pieces rot on the bench or in AAA when they could be turning into bullpen arms or prospects that actually help this team compete. Think about the actual roster construction for a minute. If Tucker signs, your outfield is Tucker in left, Springer in right, and a combination of Kevin Kiermaier or Dalton Varsho in center, depending on matchups. Anthony Santander is back and needs at-bats. Where exactly are Luars and Schneider fitting into this puzzle? Sporadic starts, pinch hitting duties. That's not maximizing their value or their development. Some fans have floated the idea of packaging multiple guys together, ship out Schneider, Luars, and Loperfido for a true high-leverage bullpen arm. The response from the fan base has been surprisingly rational. People get it. They'd be sad, even heartbroken, but they understand it's for the betterment of the team. That's the kind of tough decision championship-caliber organizations have to make. And maybe the Jays hold on to these guys through spring training. Maybe they wait until the trade deadline when contenders get desperate for outfield depth. But eventually, this decision has to be made. The clock is ticking, and every day closer to opening day is another day of decreased trade value as teams fill their own roster spots. Looking at the bigger picture, the Orioles just resigned Zach Eflin, which is actually encouraging for Toronto's plans. Eflin was terrible in 2024, legitimately one of the worst qualified pitchers in baseball with a negative WR. If Baltimore is settling for that instead of pursuing Framber Valdez or Roki Sasaki, maybe the Jays' early moves on their starting rotation put them ahead of the curve. Sasaki hasn't even received an MLB offer yet, according to recent reports, and his posting deadline is January 5th. Toronto got their pitching sorted early, and now they can focus on these harder roster decisions. The reality is simple but painful. Whether it's Nate Luars, Davis Schneider, or Joey Loperfido, somebody's getting traded. Ross Atkins is going to have to pull the trigger on a move that breaks some hearts in the fan base but makes the team better. That's his job. That's what championship windows demand. So as we roll into the new year and wait for the Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette situations to resolve, keep your eyes on these names. One of them won't be wearing a Blue Jays uniform much longer, and it's going to hurt no matter who it is. But if Toronto is serious about competing, if they're serious about maximizing this roster, then hard decisions are exactly what separates pretenders from contenders. The outfield surplus has to become bullpen depth. It's just a matter of when and who.